before we can build back up, so we can build back up. And a part of that effort is someone who really has stuck to this over a long period of time. He's the one that worked to make sure that we could do this legally. I mean, there were often times where I had a flashback to Buck Reinhardt driving along here, whether I should jump in this thing, just tear it down. But Ed Litter said, no, let's do it right. Let's do it right. Let's get the legal authority to do this. And he has worked real hard to go through the legal process to get here today. So, Treasurer Ed Litter.
Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you all for being here. And I especially want to thank all the young people for being here. Again, it is an opportunity to see in action the change that's going to occur in your community. And so I'm glad that you're all here. You might wonder, and I appreciate all the accolades the mayor laid on, but you might wonder, why is the Franklin County Treasurer at an event celebrating the demolition of an abandoned apartment building? And to understand that, you kind of have to go back to what the property was before it deteriorated to the point that we find it today. There was actually one last redevelopment effort that took place, and it was a failed redevelopment effort, but that previous effort in 1996 resulted in the apartments in this building being converted to 101 separately owned condominium units. The 101 units, 32 of them never got sold. For us to be able to even take possession and begin demolition, we had to bring the ownership of all these condo units had to be deeded to the county. And that legal complication took years to unwind. And we worked with prosecuting attorney Ron O'Brien. We set about the tedious, time-consuming task of identifying, contacting the owners when possible, and then filing tax foreclosure lawsuits whenever necessary. And those owners we could reach, we asked them to contribute their ownership into that redevelopment effort. And those we couldn't reach, or those who had died since they had vacated the property, those properties had to be taken through the long legal process to resolve the ownership issues. And again, I want to recognize prosecuting attorney Ron O'Brien and his folks who shouldered that task and helped perform it with great diligence. Our effort would not have succeeded without the support of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners. The success of gaining control over all the units also could not have been accomplished without the hard work of Joel Tiefert, who's the executive director of the Central Ohio Community Improvement Corporation. He deserves a round of applause. I also want to recognize Linda Craig and Stephen Port from my office, who really spearheaded it from our standpoint. They did a great job for us. And I didn't want to let their efforts go unnoticed, without my sincere thanks. As we got to the end of the litigation of all these ownership issues, we began engaging Columbus officials in anticipation of the ultimate demolition of this building. City Attorney Rick Pfeiffer and his staff shepherded the environmental case and secured the order of demolition that brings us here today, so I want to extend my thanks to City Attorney Rick Pfeiffer. My thanks also goes to Columbus City Council and Councilman Zach Klein for their support of this effort throughout the process, and obviously special thanks and recognition goes to Mayor Coleman, Development Director Safford and his team. They played an instrumental role throughout this process, and they most especially coordinated in funding the actual demolition of this work. But I also want to thank Attorney General Mike DeWine for the vision that he's demonstrated in the Moving Ohio Forward grant program. That's also provided some of the funding, and as you mentioned, $8.2 million in funding, and that part of those funds are going to the demolition of this structure, and it'll provide for demolition funds for many neighborhoods throughout Columbus and Central Ohio. And the great thing about it is the commitment of those monies to the demolition of residential properties is going to free our county land bank up to use some of its resources to renovate, because we don't want to be just the Franklin County Demolition Corporation. We want to be the Franklin County Revitalization Corporation, and that's part of what we're doing today is revitalization. And I wanted to turn for a moment to the failed condo conversion effort that I mentioned earlier that occurred in the late 1990s. That effort sought to provide affordable housing for senior citizens in our community. The seniors who lived here had hoped to call this place their home for the rest of their days. And unfortunately, that hope vanished when this building became functionally and financially obsolete. It became a safety hazard, a concrete remnant of another time, and a crime hazard. So those seniors lost so much when the building had to be vacated. And I didn't want their loss to be forgotten today, because it's from their loss that real hope for a brighter future takes place in this space. It's really with great pride that I stand here today. I knew when I began to undertake the effort to get all these condominium, the 101 condo units consolidated under county ownership, whether it was demolition or whether it was renovation, whatever became of this property was going to be an improvement for this community. So I'm always going to look back on the removal of this eyesore, the removal of this scar on the landscape of this neighborhood, as one of my proudest accomplishments as Franklin County Treasurer. So I'm proud because I know the impact that removing this eyesore is going to have in this community. The effort is a testament to what can be accomplished when leaders from all levels of government, all parts of our community, come together to make a positive impact in the community. And it's been a long struggle to get to this day, but the day is here. When this building is gone, this space is going to be ready for a vibrant rebirth. The future for this space holds great promise. It holds great opportunity. Whatever bright future awaits, it's only possible because of the hard work, dedication, and vision of so many that are here with us today. And my sincerest thanks to all of you.